Hey, welcome to this tutorial series on 3ds Max's material editor. Before we begin, if you haven't already, it is probably advisable that you take this course prior to doing this one. So this is the Mastering Autodesk 3ds Max, a beginner's guide, and essentially it takes you through sort of what a 3ds Max is. We break down the interface a little bit more. There's some stuff about navigation, controls, and working with primitives, as well as other best practices in there. So if you haven't, as I say, if you haven't already taken this course, have a look and see if you can complete this one before taking part in this course. So this course, let's get into it. Yeah, material editor, 3ds Max. It's essential for us to bring life and create detailed details on our object surfaces. So to access the material editor, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to just come up to the top bar here. And you can see where my mouse is now, where I'm hovering over this, and you can hit M on the keyboard, or you can click this button and this will bring up the material editor. Now, there are two different types of editors in 3ds Max. There's a compact view and a slate view. Now, depending on your background and whether you've done, I suppose, visual scripting or anything like that inside of Unreal, you might prefer the slate editor view. And I'm going to try and jump between the two if I can, and just explain it or expand on these a little bit. So if I create a slate view, or I open up the slate view, should I say, menu, you'll get something that looks a little like this, okay? And essentially, it's the compact material editor, but spread out in its own sort of window. So if you're working on a workstation that has dual monitor set up, this might be an ideal option. So again, there's different reasons why you might want to use it. Now, to get a material in here, what you're going to have to do is drag. So click one of the materials. So for example, the physical material, you can click and drag that in, and then you'll get a listing of parameters on the right hand side. And again, you can see here where you've got presets, you've got a base color, there's a bunch of other stuff that you can do, surface scattering, and you'll get the parameters associated with the material that you've selected and dragged in. Now, when we're in the compact view, if we click this one, you can see here, I've got the material selected, but it's all compact, just in a single column for us. So it's the same setup, everything's the same, you can access the same information, it's just a little bit more hidden away, and not too dissimilar from adding sort of maps in as well. So let's just jump back to that slate material view, and just as an example, what I can do is I'll be able to navigate to maps, and I'll be able to add a noise map, just as a really quick example. And what we can do is we can use this output here, and we can click and drag this maybe into our roughness channel. And what that's done now is it would have plugged that into our roughness channel. So if we select the material hashtag 25, because that's what it's called, and we actually have a look in our roughness area, you'll see that it has M for map. So if you click that, you'll get the settings here, and it toggles between them both. Now, with the compact view, it's slightly different. So in the compact view, what we'd have to do is we'd just deselect that. We'd come back into mode compact. We'd select our material, and then what we'd do, we'd navigate to the area where we wanted to insert that map to. So for example, if we know we want something to be placed in the roughness channel, what we're going to do is we're going to click that. Now, what pops up is the material map browser. So that is what you could see before in the slate view on the left hand side. And what this enables you to do is, again, pick from those maps. So again, we've got noise, and I can click that and I can open it up. Now, a little bit differently, this is again compact. So when you've got this selected, the roughness, it will take you into the settings for the roughness, and again, you can change these. You can import different types of data and stuff. However, to get back to the base material, we can't obviously click it because we're sort of in the roughness map view. So this is the noise. So what we'd do is we'd select the drop down area here, and click default. And then that way that takes you back to this selection that you'd have here. Again, if you select, go in, that's your noise. If you click here, you see the options change, and you can change that. So different ways, different layouts, same information. So yeah, it's pretty good. So what we're going to start off with is we'll take you through sort of the material editor, sort of the layout, let you have a look at a few of the buttons, and then we'll probably get into a little bit more detail in the next video. So what we're looking at the moment is your materials. So these are the default materials that are come already standard. You'll see that the material type is a physical material. So again, the physical materials, these are something that work with Arnold render engine. So if you're interested in working with Arnold, you'll be using physical materials. There are other types of materials that you can access. So if you click, again, this will bring up the material map browser, and you get that listing of different types of materials that you can use. And most notably, if you are familiar with game engines, you've got your PBR materials here, so the metallic or roughness or spec and glossy that you can use, and there are a bunch of others as well that are listed inside. Now, if you're using different, if you're using a different render engine, so perhaps V-Ray will have its own listing of materials that you can apply and add in as well. So that's worth noting. So for now, I'm just going to leave that the same. In addition to that, what we've got now along the top, so you've got the different modes, whether you want the compact and slate. We've already looked at that. There's some options for the actual material itself. So you see here where you've got, like, get material or pick from object. So again, this one's quite handy if you've got a scene. You can select an object and pick a material from it. You've got different things that you can do in relation to almost managing your materials or grabbing them from scene. You've got the navigation. Not too relevant for this because, again, you can sort of like move up and down anyway through here. That's okay. You've got some options here. We'll look a little bit more at the options panel. This is a compact view of it, so we'll bring the options menu out actually in its full sort of interface, as there are a few more options on it. And then again, you've got, like, the utilities where if you've got lots of materials in there, you can clean it up and you can reset material slots and so on as well from there. Just moving down, we've got the sample type. So for various reasons, you might want to change this material preview. And to preview the results of a material, what you would do is just double click, and this brings up the preview of that material slot. And what you can do is you can change the sample type here, so you can see where we can actually preview using different sort of materials. In addition to that, you've got the options to have these backlit or not. Now, this is probably more relevant for the sphere. So you can see here where we've got a sphere backlit. We've got the main light and then a backlight. So in some instances, if you're doing sort of maybe a scene or material is going to be lit from different angles, it might be worth you using the backlit light. And that way you can sort of see the effects of different light on that material surface from different angles. Alternatively, you can switch it off. And notice when I'm messing with these, it's only unique to this material. It doesn't actually apply them across the board. It's specific to the material that you've set up. So yeah, I mean, so that'd be, I suppose, down to personal preference. In addition to that, we've got the background, so you can actually toggle different backgrounds on. So if we just input that there, you can see that we've got a checkered background, and essentially what this does, it's really good if you're working with sort of glass materials. So I'll show you an example now. So if we just switch this off and we come to the transparency here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit 1 on that to give it maximum transparency, and you can see this makes it a little bit difficult to see the details. So what you can do is you can add a background, and that'll make it that little bit easier for you to identify and see what is actually going on with that material. It also, I suppose, adds a little bit of extra shading to this material where you can sort of see it casting on the edges there. The sample UV tile, this relates to the tiling on the material objects, the preview here. It doesn't relate to anything in the scene. So if you did want to, if we had some pixelated information in here, you can actually tile it onto these, so you can actually break it down a little bit more. However, we haven't got that currently, so that's not going to work. You've got underneath there, so sometimes you're going to be working maybe in 3ds Max. So maybe you'll be working in 3ds Max for not just games, but maybe media outputs as well. So you might be looking to work in sort of PAL or something, or render videos out. And essentially what this does, it'll let you check the colors to ensure that nothing's sort of beyond the safety of NTSC or PAL. So it'll check. So when you toggle that on, it's going to basically check the colors and just make sure it's suitable for whether it's animation, whether it's a media product. It's going to be something that you're outputting to those values, so it just double checks that for you. So it might be always worth leaving on. This button here, it actually creates a render preview. It's not great. You can change some options in here, and again, you've got different options. You've got like custom range and stuff, and essentially it'll just create a little animation for you of this, where you can bring it out and you can sort of have a look at the material as well. So that might be worth having a little play with. In addition to that, we've got the options. Now, I did say I'm going to bring the options out here, so I'm just going to click these options. I'm going to have them listed. So you've got manual update. So this would be to do with the updates on the actual materials themselves. So at the moment, if I change anything on this material, let's just jump in here.
From desktop suit 5T.
Oops. Let's just jump in, Alexa. Jumping on there, and what we can do is let's just say we'll change like the color maybe on this, grab that one, click OK, and then what I'll do is let's reduce that transparency down, and you can see this is updating. Okay, so the auto updates on. Now what you can do is you can turn that off, and what we can do for performance is we can just make changes and then update them manually. And again, if you come in here, you can sort of turn that on and off there via the toggle. So it's the same sort of thing. Usually I have it on auto. I've got a decent enough computer for me, so I usually have it on auto, which is absolutely fine for me. You've got the don't animate and a few other bits and pieces. So again, you've got the bits here that relate to that. Let's see what else. Okay, so down here you've got the top light setting and the backlight setting. So if you wanted to, you can actually change the color of these lights. So if I click this one to be green, and it should update. So if we click apply, you can see I get a green light now cast across these materials, and the same similar for the back. Let's just grab the back one here. Let's click OK, click apply, and you can sort of get that different sort of setup and different sort of shading. Yeah, so it just casts your materials sort of in a different light. I'm going to keep mine to the default for now, which is absolutely fine. Again, you've got the multiplier option, so how intense these are going to be. So obviously higher values are going to be somewhat more intense. Okay, so in addition, you've got the ambient lighting as well, and you can sort of like mess around with this. And again, you'd have to apply it, and it'll change sort of the ambience on those materials. Now, it's important to note that everything in here only affects the material slot. So whatever you're sort of adding in here will only affect that material slot. Again, animation, that'll relate to if you've got materials that are animated. And whether they're going to be updated and stuff. So again, if you click don't animate, you'll see this section gets blurred out. So you click apply, and that should apply to these slots. You can also use DirectX shader. So if you're using DirectX based materials, you can force sort of the displays here to utilize that. You've got the display options as well. So here we've got 3x2. If you click 5x3, that should update it for us. Maybe I'm telling little bit of a fib there. Let's click OK. It should, there we go, it has updated it for us. It's just running a little bit slow, so you can have more samples in there. If I'm honest, it probably makes sense to actually see the previews a little bit better, so I tend to keep it on this one here, where we've got the slot, so it is actually updating for me, and I can just see a little bit more of the material and how it's set up. So the options are there. Yeah, the options, these are different options. Many of them make sense. Again, you can load in custom backgrounds. Perhaps you want to test the lighting a little bit more or whatever it is. You can actually load in custom backgrounds as well. So it will load in the referenced image that if you wanted to do that. So it's pretty good. Anytime you change anything in this menu, you do have to click apply and then click OK for it to sort of activate and come across. And that's pretty much the options. In addition to that, we have got something that's super useful, which is the material map sort of navigator. Now, before, when I mentioned sort of like the base color and reflections, in here, if I wanted to get to this map that controls the roughness on here, I'm going to have to click in here, and I'm going to have to, manually change some of these options, and then I'm going to click this one, go back out. But look what happens when I do this. I can click between and flip between them both depending on the material that I've got. So this will save you a bit of time. These materials can be quite complex when you set them up, so it'll save you a little bit of time in sort of navigation and stuff, and it should list all the different channels. So for example, let's just jump in base color, and I'm just going to put something in here. So let's just have a look at what we've got. So we've got a shape logo there, so let's pop that in. So that's added that logo beautifully, and now what you can see is that I can jump between these relatively easily, and I'm not getting, I'm not going to have to go in, click, come back out, and sort of click again to see that. So that material map navigator, again, that's going to be super useful for you when your scene's really populated with materials. Just along the lower bar, so you've got get materials, so you can select materials based upon objects. You've got the sample material. You can actually reset a slot from here. There's a few other options where you've got you can copy sort of materials and duplicate them across, or if you have an instance, so you can actually do material instancing as well. You can make it a unique material in that respect. You can save these into the actual material library as well, so they would come up for you in sort of the library. So if we just click this, I don't believe I've got anything in the scene yet, so here you get like your scene view and stuff as well. I haven't really got much in here. So when we get a little bit more and start adding sort of materials into objects, and we start shading a little bit more, we'll get we'll try and utilize this a little bit more. In addition to that, you've got ID channels. ID channels are really good for when you're working with complex objects, and you want maybe you want two different types of materials on one surface. You can actually map them with these ID channels as well, so that's pretty good. We can utilize that. You've got the shader settings. So this button here actually relates to the viewport itself. So when you click this one, so I'm going to click the left mouse button, hold, and you can turn it off, and essentially what it will do is it will show you a preview of the material in the viewport, providing this option's on. So as long as that's on, you'll be able to see your material in the viewport. If that is off, you're not going to be able to see it. In addition to that, you can name your materials. So we can just call this Matt_01 just for now, and that will rename that for us. I'm pretty sure, again, here you've got the name change, but in the brackets it will tell you the type of material. So that type is a physical material, and I did mention before, these will work with Arnold renderer and so on. That's pretty much it for the sort of breakdown in this video. So in the next one, we'll sort of look at sort of the base colors, the roughness, and we'll delve into a little bit more of the sort of complex layers and the different variables and what they do, in the next video. So I hope that's been a good sort of crash course in the material editor, and I'll see you in the next video.